All right, so welcome back to part 2, where we're going to be discussing a lot of challenges and mistakes that you business owners might be doing when you are running your business online, specifically trying to create content using platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Now, if you have seen the part 1, we hope that you learned quite a bit. But today we're going to explore a little bit more, and I'm going to ask you, MJ. So what are your advice to business owners who are struggling to measure the success of their content marketing efforts?
Well, the question is, why are you struggling to measure? Now, of course, I think the assumption I have to make here is that you already know what some of these metrics are.
Perhaps
and you are struggling.
Perhaps we can say that what are some things that they should look out for?
Oh, okay. Well, definitely would be your engagement metrics. Every video, how many people are commenting, liking, what's your watch time, especially for YouTube. I think even for TikTok now, do people stay on, right? It's one thing to get views, but if people don't stay on, it's not the best video. How useful do people find it? Feedback, things like that are very important. These are more qualitative stuff, but quantitative would definitely be, your usual subscriber growth. One metric that I like is actually viewers to subscriber ratio. So a lot of people focus on subscribers, right? But if let's say you have 1 million subs, but only 50,000 people watch, that's a 5%. Whereas someone may have 50,000 subscriber count, but 10,000 people watch. That's 20% of subscribers actually watch your videos, or at least the ratio. So that's one measure you need to look at. The second one, which is probably more important, is actually just the amount of money you're generating from YouTube or from any social media platform. That is by far the most important. If you've got money coming in, it doesn't matter whether you even have 1,000 subs. If you can generate $1 million business with 500 subscribers, why not? It's very unlikely, but it's in theory possible, right? Because maybe you're in a niche that is very high paying, and those 500 subscribers are all high-paying clients, and that's all you need. How many customers do you need to run a functioning and maybe even successful business? You do not need more than 500. So these are some of the metrics I look at, and if you're having difficulty measuring them, as the question implies, then usually that means you do not see the value of this marketing data. And all I can say is that if you do not have data, you are flying blind. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot feel your way into success, but I think it will be quite a bit slower, in my humble opinion.
I think I have another take of that. Whenever anybody wants to get onto any digital efforts, right, all this marketing stuff, I think it's easy to get bombarded with a lot of things that you have to look out for. So this is where whether if you're doing your own learning or you're hearing from other people who have done it, they may give you a lot of metric for you to look at. So then all of a sudden you might be confused on the bigger picture that you really need to look into, which is, are all the important checkpoints of your funnel working or not? Versus looking at those metrics like CPM, CPA, and getting confused with whether are those small little click-through rates and video views. Yes, those things are important if you want to look at it in the micro level. But as a business owner, the biggest thing that you need to look into is, are you making money and are you converting in the right places? Especially as a business owner, you don't have to do so much of reporting. Now, unless you're an employee, then yeah, you have to look into all those small little details. But if you're not, just look into the most important metrics will do. So the next question I want to ask is that, what are your advice for people who are failing to monetize their YouTube channel and generate revenue for their business?
So if you're using a social media directly to generate revenue, so let's say like YouTube ad revenue, sometimes you just can't generate revenue because of the country you're in that has a low CPM, which is the number that you mentioned earlier on, right? A metric rather. Places in the US, you can rely purely on YouTube videos. In Malaysia, no way. One of the big revelations I had was a very famous channel in Malaysia called The Ming Ting, and he was saying that his best at one point when they were having the most views ever, they could only hire like a fresh grad using that money, and they had millions of views, right? And it's very surprising to people, right? How can you have millions of views and all you can get is like to pay a fresh grad? So really, sometimes it's just the conditions that you're in. That's why you cannot monetize. But I always believe that if you're starting a channel on YouTube or any social media, you shouldn't rely on the platform, because one day if the platform closed down, that's it, right? Big reason why they do not monetize. It's actually a lot, but I want to keep it as short as possible. And that is, I go back to the boring answer of they don't have a specific niche. If they do not have a niche, then they cannot stand out, especially when you're small. And when you don't have a model to get cash flow early on, you're going to struggle later. Oh, well, you won't even progress. So there is no later on to begin with. So yeah, if I had to give one reason, it's a niche. Now, why is it that a niche is absolutely crucial, if you haven't already known, is simply because you need to solve a very pressing pain point based on a specific target audience. The world is so wide, right? It's like business is like an ocean. And the question is, imagine if I told you like, I'm going to start a business without a niche. It's like saying, I'm going to fish in the ocean. You're like where are you fishing? Near the shores, the deep sea, shallow waters, deep waters, cold waters, warm water, So you have to figure that out. And the beauty is that you're not supposed to catch all the fishes. You just need to catch a specific type of fish.
I want to add to that, which is I know sometimes as we are watching all these videos online right now, probably the audience are just watching a short or a video. And it's easy to comprehend, but it's difficult to execute. We're going to say that it's very easy to just sit down in front of your computer right now and listen to maybe a boring advice, because it's an advice we talk about a lot, which you got to find your niche. But when you're actually working on it, when you're actually doing the execution, you'll find yourself scrambling. A lot of people, right, when they see content and they learn things online, they'll feel that it's easy because it's easy to understand. But when you actually have that camera in front of you, it's a different story. It's like, that's where I would say that quite a lot of channels, they don't actually have a niche, just like what you say. And that's why it's resulting to their YouTube channel not being able to monetize. So the next question is quite relevant to what we just talked about, which is, as somebody who has run your own channel for years now, what are your advices for those who are lacking the necessary equipment and software to create, let's not say high, but good quality videos for their channel?
Well, the beauty that we have today is simply that our smartphones are already superb, especially the back cameras. Maybe not the front cameras, but the back cameras for smartphones. These are already sufficient. And if you're watching this, you most definitely, if you're using a phone, you most definitely have a smartphone. And that's usually sufficient. Some of the important softwares would be like editing, if you have one. And I would say that email softwares are important. I think that's absolutely crucial, because email is really the hedge against a failing platform, right? Today, we can't imagine a Facebook or Instagram failing, but just 15 years ago, everyone knew of the story of how MyNews basically bombed it and failed, right? And so why bet and say that it won't happen to Facebook or Instagram or even TikTok? So then if you rely so much on these platforms and they go bust or they go down, then what? Your business is over? No, because if you have an email list and if you have a way to organize the email, you are quite safe. So I'm not sure if I answered the question.
I think what you have talked about is actually quite good, because a lot of people think about like equipments and softwares. They think about the portion of creating content, right? Mm-hmm. But what you just mentioned is actually the important parts in your funneling, such as email.
Yes, and as a business owner, the key thing is we are like this discussion here is not just how to create a YouTube channel.
Exactly. So while you may be thinking heavily in creating content at first, the important part is actually the softwares that comes after that part of the content, which is like your landing pages, your email softwares, your CRM softwares, and your automation tools, because those are the parts that are really furthering your business. So if a lot of people who are ready to create content for their business, they may be thinking too much on all the equipments like the hardware, the cameras and microphones, but a simple editing is really what it's required. For example, if you think the sound is bad, just record in a place where it's quiet. Instead of like going out there and invest in pop filters, mic stands, you don't really have to do that, because a simple content and a good content will attract people, and then that's where you need to go to the next part, where your landing pages, your emails, and all those kind of stuff. So another question then I have for you, MJ. What would you advise business owners who are struggling to engage with their audience and building a community around their brand?
Well, struggling to engage with their audience usually means you don't create engaging content, or you just don't do the very mundane but necessary thing of just engaging, which is every video reply to comments, hard comments, ask them questions. YouTube, there's a community tab, use that. TikTok, reply, DM, Instagram, Twitter DMs, reply, things like that. So that's really a effort and a will question. And can you repeat the second part of the question? I forgot.
Building a community around a brand. Maybe perhaps I can ask this, like in your current YouTube channel, your viral channel, what are some of your must do to make sure that you continue building a community?
Yeah, so for us, it's definitely a Telegram channel, because that's our daily line of communication with them. And any questions they have about our courses or our reports or any companies or stocks, they can ask that, and then we can address them. Or even theoretical questions like how to invest, is this valuation method better than the other, things like that. Telegram channel is absolutely crucial. Now, another thing is something that I have been hesitating to do, but I know it's going to be good, is actually a physical meetup, right? To actually just meet them, randomly meet one of these guys, every now and then, just to touch base and just to, no agenda, is just talking, getting to know the other person. The third one would be, live streams. I think live streams are a great way to touch base with, build rapport.
Right. Got nothing to add to that. It's actually pretty good, because I see the way you are handling your channel. The community is really strong.
So it's okay. Not too bad, I guess.
That's a good start. Okay, I got a last question over here. What are your advices for those who are falling behind on the latest trends and best practices when it comes to YouTube marketing? For those of the people who may feel that, I see so many people doing YouTube, I may not be suitable for it. I may not be young enough for it, because business owners are usually people who are...
That's a bit like saying, why start a business when there are so many businesses? Like, YouTube is just a platform. The question is what type of channel or what type of business you're starting. And there's always something new you can bring to the field. So I'm in the finance and investment industries. Almost weekly or at least monthly, there's a new creator coming in. And I'm completely excited that they're in, because they always bring something fresh. Just as I would like to think when I came into the space that I brought something fresh. So you have to bring a different perspective. And the beauty of social media is that you are the unique perspective, right? Let's say if I do content and I've been in the space for a long time, and a girl comes in and does similar kind of content, or even a content that's worse than mine, but because she's a girl, that makes it unique. Very few women are in finance, right? So don't think that you need like some super special and super unique stuff. You can always start simple. You can always start. The key is to start. And you are the differentiator. Some people like guys or creators with personality that are very like very dominating, right? They tell you what to do and this and that. Some people like the more quiet and humble type. And then don't forget, there's all sorts of variation. There's language, right? Imagine if you were China, and imagine if they ask themselves the same thing. Say, oh, you know, all the Japanese and German and Americans, you know, they've been manufacturing for decades more than us. They've been manufacturing products more than us. Why should we go into it? Well, simply because there's, you know, they feel like they have something a little bit different, and they have a different market, they have different language, so many things that are different they can bring into it. You just have to kind of expand your mind, and you cannot have a cannot do attitude.
Well, there you go. Well, hopefully these videos are pretty good for you, and a lot of things that we really cover in this two-parter, and I think there's a lot of takeaways for you to have to get started, and as well as continue finding and crafting whatever you need. But of course, if you need a little bit more help, you can go to the link in the description and the comments down below, where you can download a free guidebook that will help you out a little bit more. So until then, we'll see you guys again next time.